And ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's good to be back. It really is. And we've actually got a bit of a treat for you guys. I'm actually really excited because not all that often do we get to cast other casters. And Joj, would you be so kind as to introduce our players for us, please?
I would. Here on the bottom left-hand side of Whirlwind, we're going to have a PVZ. The bottom left-hand side, we have SSEAS LiviBee, which is a caster, and I'm actually not familiar with her work. Would you be able to go into that a little bit more?
Her name's Olivia. She's from Sydney, Australia, so she flew quite some ways in order to be at this tournament. I haven't actually had a chance to look at a lot of her work. I know that she's a caster. I was like, wait a minute, I know this player. I've seen this, but I had to do a quick look up just to see exactly who she is. Guys, check her out. She is on Twitter, and she's also on Facebook as well, facebook.com/LiviBee, LIVIBEE, just the way it is on the screen is up in the top right-hand corner. And who's this other player that he's going to be playing against, or rather she is going to be playing against?
Yeah, and in the bottom right-hand position is their pro player against PVZ. This is MisterDee, and unfortunately I don't know very much about MisterDee. I believe that he's attended several MLGs in the past, but you know, he's not a pro, but he's been around.
Yeah, his name is David. He's a native to Anaheim, so obviously he's going to attend MLG events in his hometown. It would make perfect sense. I think Anaheim and California, for that matter, are actually like the holy mecca in North America of esports. So he's in a really good position, and both of them scouting out. Now, this is a big map. Whirlwind is a great map, especially for PVZ, actually for any matchup for that matter, because of the fact that really for the most part, early rushes just generally don't happen on here because of the fact that you have to scout so many spawning locations.
That's right. There's no spawns disabled or anything like that in this MLG. So each player could be anywhere, and the other player could potentially scout that player last. So early silly things like proxy pin gates, that won't really be happening on this map. But there's a little bit of an interesting opener for MisterDee. He's doing a gateway expand with a very cool wall off. I like this. He's walled himself off very nicely with two pylons, a gateway, and cyberboard. This is in case it's something like a 14-14 gas pool all speed all it, but that's not what's coming up from LiviBee at all in this case. She's playing very standard, going pool and then hatch, making a couple of zerglings to scout for pylons and to make sure that the third base can go down uncontested, but you know, nothing really aggressive.
No, certainly not. I think both players are just taking it a little bit, well, I guess you could say a little bit easy. Getting that Nexus up now is MisterDee. He's going to be pretty happy with that. Getting that up, given the additional economy, be able to take on a two-basing Zerg. And yeah, we don't see any real kind of hijinks out of LiviBee. She is a caster. I'm sure she knows how tournaments go, what she can expect as far as tournament play goes. So, but she's also playing very safe as well. Very standard openings by both players. And we have a little scouting Zerg moving its way in, and it's going to visit the mothership core in the most harshest of ways, and doesn't last long either, for that matter.
Yeah, and there's also a probe from MisterDee that's getting into the main base of LiviBee. He's going to come in, he's going to see the fact that one gas was taken as a response to that late expand that has to be a gateway expand. And he's going to back out and get picked off by a queen. But yeah, so that gas that LiviBee is taking, that's going to be for speed primarily. She may or may not choose to keep guys in gas and go for a roach foreign for as an extra measure of defense. But at the very least, it's for speed so that she can more effectively deal with any crazy 4-gate timings or things like that. But that 4-gate is not what's going to be coming up from MisterDee. MisterDee is adding a forge and a robo. The robo is actually part of his wall up, interestingly. That might show LiviBee that she was like, oh no, this could be a all-in attack coming. But in this case, it looks to be a very macro-heavy opener from MisterDee. He goes gateway expand, but he's adding on the forge, he's adding on robo and pecking up rather fast, and making investments that wouldn't work out for a really heavy aggression.
No, you're absolutely right. He's throwing down the forge, which certainly he's going to be using for upgrades. Maybe throw down a cannon up at the front door just to help out. No, it doesn't look like he's going to do that. Yep, indeed, he's going to use it for +1 weapons. That'll give Zealots those advantages against the Zerglings very early on. We do see gas still being saturated here in LiviBee's base, grabbing another gas as well. And it looks like about Zergling speed is about halfway done. Roach Warren on the way, about halfway done as well. and a bunch of spines up front for defensive purposes. So again, everything being very safe. Both players know that they're in the loser's bracket. They didn't make it through the winner's bracket in round 1, so they know that they have to stay in this if they wish to have a chance advancing through this tournament. Loser's bracket is their only way that they can get back up into the championship. And yep, Warpgate just finishing up. Both players, like you say, just taking it very easy, macroing up. This is going to be a later game. As far as MisterDee is concerned, he's trying to get that all set up so that he's going to be very comfortable later on. But then at the same token, LiviBee is doing exactly the same thing. Just taking it very, very easy and playing very, very safe.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about what MisterDee has done so far. Is he's actually been on 1 gas until just now. Just now his second and third gases are finishing up, and he's going to saturate those. He's got a Warp Prism with a Sentry and 2 Zealots that he wants to drop in the Zerg's main base. But there's this Zerg is really defensive. She has not taken a third base at all by 8 minutes, and that's kind of dangerous. If any kind of 2-base timing was coming, MisterDee would be able to walk over her. But since he's trying to do drops, that's going to be shut down 100% by this defensive play that she's got going on.
Yep, indeed it will be. And in fact, Roaches have shown up to help take care of this. There's a couple Zealots and a Sentry inside that. Queens are going to start working away on that Warp Prism, despite the fact that they have good speed. Yeah, and he gets turned away very quickly. MisterDee sees it, doesn't like it, and away he goes. And he's gone, so he must be feeling pretty good about that. And yeah, I mean, continuing on, just down, she's grabbing a Spire. This is quite smart as far as I'm concerned. This Mutalisks are so good. With Whirlwind itself, you'd be able to dodge in and out of both the main and the natural, and especially the expansions, so easily with these very fast Mutalisks. And so, if she can get some good harassment down, she'll be in good shape. But speaking of harassment, a couple of Zealots working away on the 3rd expansion in the northern side of her base. She can't be happy about that.
No, and that third base might... Oh no, the Zealots actually don't focus fire, they go for a Roach, and they're going to be picked off. So that third's going to get up just fine. There's 1 Sentry in that Warp Prism that's not going to be dropped. There's way too many units there. But actually, right now, as it stands, both players are equal on economy. That is not something... That's not a situation you want to be in as a Zerg player. And MisterDee is going to be ahead on upgrades. And he's even got a tech answer to the Mutalisks, well, potential Mutalisks that are coming up from LiviBee. The Spire is finishing in 10 seconds, but there's already a Stargate out for MisterDee, and so he could just decide, oh, you know what, a 2-base Zerg that's making Mutalisks, I'll just make Phoenixes. Yeah, and there they go. There's 6 Mutalisks, 8, 9 Mutalisks on the way right now.
Yep, indeed. And like you said, this is a situation where I think that 3rd base is a little bit too late for LiviBee. This is a classic example of, I mean, Wings of Liberty, it was established. The Zerg needs to be always at least 1 base ahead of their opponent, and getting that 3rd up was just a little too late in my mind. It's like 2 base versus 2 base as it sits right now, and for a good long period of time, until this gets saturated and really the production gets going on it, this is going to slow LiviBee down by quite a bit. But the Mutalisk is a good choice. And now, as we can see, a good number of them flying across the map here, and 9 of them in total about to fly on into the natural. There's a good number of Stalkers here, as well as a Void Ray. I stand corrected, 2 Stalkers and a Void Ray, certainly enough that these, and a couple of Sentries, but enough that these Mutalisks could take them out if they so choose. A couple more Stalkers are getting warped in here. However, the probes are getting killed off, and as you can see, very quickly hightailing it out of there and transitioning elsewhere. Just literally harassing the teeth out of MisterDee.
Yeah, 10 workers killed from those Mutalisk pressures. Actually, there's a motion for this kind of exposed openly at Roaches that's going to get killed off. It tries to recall it in the cigar. There's a bunch of Roaches, so there's Roach Wing Muta out on the map right now for LiviBee. This is actually a very old style that was popularized by a guy named E-Captain Wings of Liberty when nobody really had a solid answer to the Protoss 2-base, 3-base timings. This was before Stefano was made his real mark. But now there's a couple Mutalisks versus a couple of Phoenixes versus so many Mutalisks. The Mutalisks can't take these guys out. They don't have Phoenix range, so when they go into attack, if the Mutalisks fall up and hit one, the glaive shots will do so much damage. But MisterDee is being careful about it. He's controlling his Phoenixes pretty well, and LiviBee backs out there and is pretty happy with the damage done, really. 26 workers killed. The Protoss is stuck on 2 bases, and the 3rd base is fully saturated for LiviBee. She's in a commanding position.
Oh, absolutely. 66 workers to 29. Economically, that's going to take forever for MisterDee to get back into this game. He has either two choices, I think, as it sits right now. Attack with what he's got, or sit back and bunker up like nobody's business for a very long time. When you have literally half the worker supply of your opponent, you are going to take a long, long time to get back into it. As you can see, Chrono boosting out the workers as fast as humanly possible to try and get himself back into this game. We do have a fleet beacon on the way, and it is researching the Axion Pulse Crystals for the Phoenix to help deal with these Mutalisks. And as you can see, like you were saying, Phoenix are very, very good against Mutalisks, but some Corruptors in this guy as well. It's so many Mutas just trying to chase down, but as you can see, Phoenix can shoot while moving, and they do move very, very quickly. So these Mutas cannot chase them down. And so this is just kind of a detrimental return for LiviBee if she continues to try and engage those Phoenix. But that being said, MisterDee is in a very, very tough position as it sits right now. And the Mutalisks get in and just adding insult to injury, just spanking down on top of a lot more workers, literally target firing and then backing on out. The damage literally being done here as well.
Yeah, and this composition that LiviBee is playing with this, which is Mutalisk Corruptor, that's a composition that a couple of European Zergs are very famous for. Nerchia most notably plays this in almost all of his PvZs. He says, oh, well, you're going to go Sky Toss, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a bunch of bases. And that's what LiviBee is doing. She double expanded after her third base, she's on her fourth and fifth bases. There's a little bit of an engagement here between Phoenixes and Muta Corruptor. And they're going to trade relatively evenly, but LiviBee is on 5 bases. And the Protoss is on 2. And there's a move out from the Protoss. MisterDee knows, okay, I'm on 2 bases. I've been on 2 bases all game long. I'm going to fall way behind if I don't do something. But I feel like it's already too late. The 169 supply versus less than 100 for MisterDee. And he's really got to make something happen.
Yeah, LiviBee in a very commanding position. Substantially larger army. But unfortunately, losing that 4th base is not going to be good. But I mean, that doesn't matter at this particular point. The economic damage on MisterDee has been done. He's going to be having a hard time dealing with this. He's got roaches working away on his front door. Mutalisks and Corruptors are going to show on up to try and help take care of that front door problem as well. A couple of sentries get some force fields down, but that's not going to be enough to hold it down. At the same token, a little bit of a base trade here. We do have a lot of Stalkers and these Immortals working away on the front door. Generally, as a rule, base trades do not favor Zerg ever. And but that being said, a big GG, and LiviBee takes game number 1. That is an absolutely phenomenal engagement there, and it looks like Skype is not working out for me at all. And I love it. Gotta love Skype. But at the end of the day, I think LiviBee played this really, really well. The harass with the Mutalisk was a good choice, getting in there, doing so much damage. The biggest mistake MisterDee made was not addressing that as quickly as he did. Should have pulled the workers, get them out of there, get some units up to support. Instead, he just let them sit there and die, and it didn't work out well for him at all.
Yeah, the LiviBee being able to keep him stuck on 2 bases for so long with Muta Corruptor, that did not end up working out well for him at all. But I really liked LiviBee's choices in this game. I'm curious to see if those choices will remain consistent and well thought out throughout the series. MisterDee could easily do some kind of crazy timing that throws her off. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As it stands now, I would say that LiviBee has an advantage going into the series, just not only with the +1 game up over her opponent, but also in terms of comfortability with PvZ. She seemed like she knew what she was doing, and she knew exactly when to make what choices, and was very comfortable doing so.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll be back in just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please just stay tuned for a second. We're going to run some commercials. We're going to get a game number 2, and we'll see whether or not LiviBee is able to continue on with this very brilliant play of hers, or whether or not MisterDee is going to be able to pull a game out of this series and bring himself back into a 1-1 into this round of 3 in the losers bracket. My name is Nightshade.
And I'm Joe, and we'll see you back here in about 90 seconds.